Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for joining me, and yes, welcome to the Status of the Nation. Now you guys know the drill, that every week we break down some of the biggest stories that have been happening in the past week and we just give our opinion and our feedback on them. A lot has been happening in the Republic. Sometimes it's so hard to keep track, but if I don't discuss it in this video, I will be discussing it on my Facebook page, but you'll find all of that linked down below. So make sure you go like and follow that page, where every single week, every single day, we're talking about what's going on, because there's always something new in this great Republic. But without further ado, let's get into this week's Status of the Nation. So first things first, we're going to talk about the whole CPS SASSA debacle. So we've been discussing it for a couple of weeks now, and you know, there have been some developments, if you will, in that whole entire situation. So basically, you guys remember last week I told you how they had to appear before the Constitutional Court. Well, they appeared this week and it was drama. Well, drama in the sense that nothing really bad happened, but drama because Chief Justice was really over the entire thing and over all of the people involved, which quite honestly I can't blame him, because up until now the whole thing has been a mess. But basically, the Constitutional Court has ordered SASSA and CPS to basically pay grants well into the 1st of April 2017. So basically the contract has been extended because the Constitutional Court believes that they have an obligation to pay these grants come the 1st of April, which is something that we've all been in agreement of. So now that the contract has been extended, it's been extended for 12 months. And in that time, they are to find a company who is going to take over for them. Now, obviously, like I said before, Chief Justice was not impressed about how any of that went down, and he really let it be known.
So you can't just say I was remiss. No, it is what she is a minister for, to make sure that beneficiaries receive their benefits, but more importantly, within the context of an order by the Constitutional Court in relation to this matter. It's embarrassing enough to have an order that says, no, something within your department was done that is unconstitutional, that is unlawful. It's embarrassing. Nobody wants that. For you not to follow up now, to spend sleepless nights ensuring that that does not repeat itself, is something that is difficult for any of us to understand. So please help us to understand.
I really can't blame the Chief Justice, because you guys have to remember, these are the very same people who last year already in April, they knew that they had to find a new company to take over payment of grants. So they've been in the know with all of this information, and they've basically done nothing about it. And I think that's why Chief Justice was so frustrated. And I know that's why I personally was frustrated by the whole thing, because I'm like, it's not like you guys suddenly were surprised. You knew that you had to find someone. You knew that this contract come the 31st of March was ending. All I'm hoping for is, now that they've been given an additional 12 months, they don't wait till the 11th hour to be done with this whole thing. Do you know what I mean? Speaking of which, our president had to appear in Parliament on Thursday to basically answer for what's going on in SASSA, and I suppose give his own point of view. Now, if you were to listen to our president, you would be convinced that there isn't a problem, because as far as he's concerned, there isn't a crisis, there isn't a problem. People should stop panicking because the 1st of April hasn't arrived, you see. Because our president feels like, because the 1st of April hasn't arrived, how could we possibly say that there's a crisis on our hands? Funny democracy. Funny legal system. Well, basically, since Thursday, it seems like our president has had a change of heart and a change of mind, because the presidency issued a statement to basically say how apologetic the president is, and how basically, you know, they're sorry for all the stress and I suppose all the anxiety that they've caused people throughout this entire time. I'm sitting here and I'm like, yes, obviously, because I almost feel like at the time where everyone was saying it, the president maybe didn't want to, you know, join in or possibly acknowledge that yes, you guys are correct, that this thing is unnerving and it's a little bit stressful. Maybe because in his mind he thought the longer he acts like there isn't a crisis, people will be less panicky, and it did none of that. So I am sort of glad that they did acknowledge that this whole thing was messed up, and you know, he apologized or whatever. Although I do feel like he apologized right after the Court said that they have to carry on with the payment. So of course you're going to apologize when there isn't a crisis come the 1st of April. Do you know what I mean? All of it for me just feels like a lot of oh, what's the word? Spinning. And I'm just like, you know what, it doesn't even matter anymore because this is where we are. And again, I suppose this is the leadership that we have in this country. Also, what's going to happen now is that the president is going to chair the IMC, which is the Inter-Ministerial Committee. And basically, he set up this committee to basically oversee that the order that the Constitutional Court has given in terms of SASSA and CPS is followed through effectively and that everything runs smoothly. And he says that he's going to chair this committee, which, all right. I think ultimately, though, what everybody is on about and what everybody has been on about for the longest time is that Batabile needs to go. There needs to be some sort of disciplining. And I said in the previous weeks that I am not a fan of people being fired because they did something wrong. Because to me, it's like, what is that to say? You get given responsibilities, you get given things to do, and when you don't do them, you get fired. I know it sounds very obvious, but the only reason why I'm saying that, especially in terms of this, is that this was your responsibility and you messed it up. So to me, it just stands to reason that you need to stay and fix it up until we don't have a problem anymore. Because think about it, guys, especially in our government, especially how things tend to work. People mess up and they get fired, but there are no other real consequences, right? I mean, they keep their benefits, they get all of their money, they get all of the things. And I mean, come on, this is kind of how our government works. You know, you'll get fired for a little while, which I know people think is the worst thing to lose your job, but in this government, you won't lose it for too long. I mean, who knows? You might just become MP, right? Ultimately, I think people are still going to be hammering the call, you know, for her to go. It's not going to go anywhere anytime soon. And, you know, the president has already let it be known that he's not going to punish anyone if they didn't do anything wrong, in the sense that the 1st of April didn't arrive. So maybe we shouldn't be holding our breath that anything's going to happen to Batabile. For all you know, she's going to keep her head down and it'll just be business as usual in this government. Meanwhile, the public protector has come out to say that, you know, she's going to investigate the matter, you know, that she's going to be in contact with Pravin Gordhan and Batabile to pretty much figure out what's going on. That's all good and all. I just have one question though. I'm sure you guys remember the whole ABSA report, ABSA apartheid money thing. I talked about it in a Status of the Nation video before. I'll link that video down below. And we were talking about how she basically gave the Reserve Bank and ABSA up until the 28th of February to make presentations to her before she carries on with her report. Well, the 28th of February came and went and we didn't hear anything about it. So I want to know what's going on with that report. I mean, yes, of course, she's not going to tell us day by day, you know, what happens and who said what. But I would think, you know, that she would mention that, okay, guys, they made their submissions or presentations to me and I'm going to take this thing further. It almost seems like the whole ABSA reports debacle has kind of died down. I, for one, am still very much interested in what's going on over there, and I hope that, you know, it's not one of those things that kind of just gets forgotten about and then gets brought up at a later stage when it's convenient for it to be a distraction, if you will. But yes, so we'll see what that, I suppose, brings up, but you never really know. In this republic, you never really know how things could go. But anyway, but now I'm sure you guys have also seen reports that the ANC Youth League is basically saying that Julius must come back home, and by home they mean the ANC. It was Mpumalanga chairperson David who basically started this whole conversation to say that, you know what, Julius must come back home. Well, now Colin, president of the ANC Youth League, has come out to basically say that, you know what, the ANC is home for everyone. Even if you've been expelled, you're more than welcome to come back. Of course, Julius has said that he's not going anywhere. Ndlozi has also come out to say Julius is not about to go back to the ANC. All right. What I find interesting about this, though, is in the ANC policy that was released a couple of weeks ago, they make mention of a coalition government. So maybe this is kind of their way of warming up to the idea that, you know, the ANC is not going to rule forever like they thought come 2019. I don't know. I just find it incredibly interesting and really funny that they think after all that's happened, Julius is happily going to say, well, wow, you guys want me back home. I'm more than happy to come back home. I think too much time has passed. Ideologies are different, and I think everybody's end goal is a little different. So I don't think that the ANC is home for Julius Malema anymore. Well, this Julius anyway. So speaking of Mpumalanga, I read that the Department of Education is basically sending a team to support a school where they've encouraged the girls at that school to sign a "I will not get pregnant in 2017" pledge. So I'm assuming that in their mind, this is their way of tackling teen pregnancies by making these students sign this declaration. I have a couple of questions and I suppose concerns about this whole thing. One, girls don't get pregnant by themselves. It sounds obvious enough, but apparently not. Girls don't get pregnant by themselves, so it makes no sense that the only people who are signing this pledge are girls, because it makes it look like anytime there's teen pregnancy, it's a girl's fault. But there's another person who's involved in all of this. So I want to know, will the boys also be signing a declaration? But more than that, this declaration, in my opinion, does absolutely nothing. I saw someone on Twitter talking about how when she was at school, she also signed a declaration, something like this, I suppose, in her school. And come matric, she gave birth during her prelims. So I suppose it's safe to say that this declaration doesn't do anything. I understand that maybe the government wants to tackle teen pregnancy and deal with it as a whole. I would suggest that maybe sex education be made a priority in schools. And I mean real sex education. Not the things that I got when I was in school, and certainly not the things that my cousins got when they went to school. I mean real, proper, actual sex education, because I feel that if we're going to tackle this, we need to be talking to our children openly and honestly about sex. A declaration is not going to do that. Also, this declaration, in my opinion, ignores a lot of different factors. For one, it ignores the teachers who prey on these school kids. Let's not act like we don't know and haven't seen the reports and the various stories that have come out of school kids saying that they've been impregnated by their teachers. So it ignores all of that. Also, it ignores what happens in the various communities where you've got older men preying on these kids and getting them pregnant. I understand that the heart may be we want to deal with teen pregnancy, but I'm going to have to say that the way that they're wanting to go about it makes no sense to me. So let's talk about Donald Trump, per usual. So you guys remember last week we talked about how Donald Trump was saying that Barack Obama has been wiretapping him and basically spying on him and all of that. Well, the White House has come out to basically backpedal and say, well, he didn't mean what he said. I actually don't know what the backpedaling is, but they've come out to basically say it's not true. I don't know. Like, the whole thing is really confusing, because how do you even backpedal from something like that? I don't know. Then enters Sean, who basically said that, the president didn't mean wiretapping because he put wiretapping in quotes. In this moment, Chelsea Clinton is all of us, because she's asking what we all want to know. So when you put things in quotes, it doesn't make it real? Or what? What does that even mean? Like, at this point, no one knows what that means, but, that's Donald Trump and his personal Twitter. I want to know whether or not Barack Obama is going to sue. I mean, look, he may not want to because, he's Barack. He seems like a very, chill, laid-back dude. Or he may just surprise us and just slap him with the suit. Because remember, we talked a little bit about this last week, that it's liable because he was also tweeting from his account as the real Donald Trump and not President of the United States. So he could be sued like that. Anyway, the whole thing is a mess. So you would think that because in the beginning of the week, the White House was backpedaling on that, he would leave it alone. When he met with Merkel, I hope I'm saying that right, of Germany, he basically said it again. Oh, Donald, he basically said it again that, Germany and the US may have been under surveillance by the Obama administration. And it's like, your people were trying to clean that whole thing up, and here you go again. That's honestly the least of their worries, because that visit with Merkel is, wow, a disaster was that entire visit, from not wanting to shake her hand, from just all the awkward uncomfortableness. Like, the whole thing was just very messy. But I do have a couple of questions though, more about Ivanka. I want to know, why is it that the president's daughter is around and is in meetings with world leaders? First of all, she's not a White House official. She hasn't been employed by the US government, so she has no business being in any of these meetings. She doesn't have the clearance. She doesn't have all of the things that are necessary for her to be in these meetings. So why is she there? She's not a US official in any capacity. So why is she in these meetings? You know what's crazy? It's like, it's almost like Donald Trump is forgetting that this is a presidency and this is not a company. See, if it's a company, you can treat the family company however you want. You can make your daughter the president, you can make your son-in-law a director, you can make your other sons, financial manager. You can do whatever it is that you want, but this is a presidency. You're the president of the United States, and you can't treat the presidency like it's a family business where he can throw his daughter and his sons and his son-in-law and people's husbands in all types of positions whenever he wants. Like, it's so weird. And again, what I find interesting is that none of the Trump supporters are calling this out. As a fact, none of the Trump supporters seem to be saying anything. They're all mighty quiet because I feel like they're all seeing what we're seeing. The only difference is that they're not ready to speak up about it, because people have been saying, like, what is this man doing? If it's not his children and I suppose the interesting roles that they play in his presidency, it's his budget, which has come out, and there's going to be a lot of spending cuts for a lot of different people. It's that travel ban of his, which remember I talked about it last week. Well, a judge in Hawaii has basically put a stop to it. Kind of like the first judge that did it. Well, a second judge has done it. Where you've got a lot of Trump supporter who came out on Twitter talking about hashtag boycott Hawaii, which, alright. People still want a vacation, my guy. I don't know what you're talking about. And of course, reports have come out with how costly it is to basically take care of the Trump family. Because Melania is not living with him. She's living somewhere else. So there's costs there. There's costs that come with protecting Trump towers. It's a lot. It really is a lot. And what's crazy about it is that it hasn't even been 100 days. Like, in less than 100 days, this is how much this man has done. And I personally am already exhausted by his presidency. So I can only imagine what it's like for people in America. And again, it hasn't even been 100 days. It's going to be a long 4 years. And lastly, coming back to the Republic, by now we're all well aware, we've talked about this. I even made a video about that I'm going to link it down below. But Helen Zilla's just been out here trolling us, which, alright. You know what's surprising about this whole thing? For me, what was surprising about the whole thing, I think, is the reaction of DA members. The thing is, anytime other people from political parties have very hairy moments and very tricky situations, I don't even think I can call it that, but very hateful, outright awful things that they do on social media, they'll be the very first people to talk about that person has to go, that person needs to leave, yada 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 yada. When it's one of their own, it's simply, we will not stand that type of talk, we will not tolerate that type of thing, and suddenly everything must be okay. I mean, even when Musi Maimani did it, everybody was like, you may want to direct it at her, because we're not the ones who are confused about this. We're very clear about the whole thing, And for me, what I found really funny were people who were in her mentions. People were sending her links, people were writing, 3, 4, 5, 6 tweets to her, trying to educate her. And I was just like, I commend you, but I just will not be the one to do it, because the assumption here is that Helen Zilla, is somehow misinformed, which we all know is not true. She knew exactly what she was doing. She said it. And I mean, look, the tweets are still up there. She hasn't deleted it, which means she's not entirely sorry about what she said. So I found it incredibly funny that people were going out of their ways to try and educate her and let her know how wrong she is. And look at this civilization and look at that one. She's not misinformed. She knew exactly what she was doing. So the DA says that they're going to subject her to a disciplinary hearing. Okay. But I mean, that's their party. They're going to figure it out and see what they're going to do about that. Yeah, guys, that's basically it. Thank you for joining me again for Status of the Nation. Please make sure you thumbs up this video, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Yeah, I'll see you in the next video. And make sure you go follow me on Facebook, where we talk about everything else that happens in the week on there. So thanks for watching and have a great week. Bye.